Since it's gray and shitty as fuck outside, it's 4, and usually at like 7, it's like, sunlight! And it looks shitty outside, and it's fucking raining on my goddamn birthday, and there's nothing to do, and everyone's busy. I decided, why not? Let's do some YouTube videos. Today is gonna be different. I couldn't come up with the top 15. I thought about doing a 15. I thought 10 was more reasonable. So yay. I know it says right now in the title, but this is more of they could debut on Raw, go against the fucking Usos and be just fine. It's something that I'd have to build maybe a year, especially number 10. It's one of those things, but I mean, this one would go in the next year or so, or before the end of the year even. Number 10, the Kings of Wrestling. They would be way higher on the list if it wasn't for Cesaro winning the U.S. title. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but in my mind, if they would have made Cesaro lose to Santino in the pre-show, I would have said, fuck it, give us Cassius Ohno, make him a tag team, bring back the tag team division. And since this is recording the day after, the Saturday after, the whole backstage instance with Epico, Primo, Tyson Kidd, Justin Gabriel, Usos, Epico and Primo, primetime players, tag team champions, etc. So that's why I decided to make this video. Number 9, Johnny Curtis and Michael McGillicuddy. Once again, this would be higher, but the reason I didn't put it higher, if you guys remember last year, McGillicuddy and Otunga, and they did the most stupidest thing ever. They split Otunga from the tag team and tried to give him a push. Instead of splitting the tag team, trying to give McGillicuddy a push when he's obviously the one with more talent. Just watch NXT if you don't believe me. This would be kind of the same thing. I would try to split Johnny Curtis to the mid-card. I wouldn't push McGillicuddy to the fucking moon after this tag team splits up. But I would at least keep him the upper mid-card level and then shoot him up. Probably like 2014, beginning of it, you know, give him a good performance in the Rumble, whatnot. Seems reasonable. Number 8, Ezekiel Jackson and Biggie Langston. I'm worried about Langston. I don't think they got any plans for him anytime soon. And Jackson's been buried to all fucking hell. If they have plans to release Jackson really isn't all that bad in the ring. He really isn't. Like, people say, oh, Mason Ryan. Well, last year they were saying, oh, Mason Ryan's going to be a big star, but Ezekiel Jackson's going to go nowhere. Yet, on the other hand, Mason Ryan is stiff and and Jackson was actually pretty smooth. He's got speed. He's got a lot of stuff. He doesn't look like, oh, you shit my pants, you know, like Mason Ryan. He's got some stuff in the ring. So I hope they don't just release Jackson. I think this would be a very reasonable tag team. And of course, Jackson probably would split up. And I'm not going to lie, he'd probably get featured endeavored after this tag team. While Biggie Langston, he'd have an opportunity to maybe even shoot to the main event, being the big... Well, he's black, so probably not to the main event. But, you know, he'd become a single guy. Number 7, I'll explain why this one isn't higher. Because Evan Bourne's a dipshit. Evan Bourne and Trent Beretta, when he comes back, what are they going to do with him? I don't know. And honestly, he doesn't deserve a singles push. Maybe he can go in, fight Cesaro, loses Cesaro, make Cesaro look better, and then team with Trent Beretta, because I heard Trent Beretta returned to the NXT taping, so he hasn't been released. That'd be awesome. I think it'd make more sense than Evan Bourne and Kofi. Also, looking at that, I would also say, I don't think I'd even give this tag team the belts, to be honest with you, because Evan Bourne's a fucking dipshit, and he can't be trusted, obviously. So, I don't know about that. But, also, I still am gonna pray and pray and pray and pray and pray to God that they bring back a Cruiserweight division. I think it's one of those things that isn't... It could happen. I think it has to happen. It just has to. Look at this. They're trying to hire Alex Shelley. I heard they still have Pac. They're hiring all these fucking Cruiserweights. They have to. Not only to mention the Cruiserweights they already have. They have to. I cannot exaggerate this. They have to. Have to. Make a fucking Cruiserweight division. It's one of those things. It's not if or when. It just fucking has to. Just saying. Number 6, Alex Riley and Christian. I know that's kind of like a, whoa, what? If you remember in 2001 when they did a whole shitty angle, DDP being the mentor of the Christian, they tried that out for a little bit. It'd be the kind of same thing. Maybe Christian gets a rematch with Cesaro or Sandow, and then Cesaro or Sandow is trying to break Christian's leg or something. Alex Riley could save him. Alex Riley could get a one-on-one push. He would lose, maybe, I don't know. If he wins, great, fuck this tag team. If he loses, then he could go team with Christian. Either way, it would get Riley back on TV. And it wouldn't be like... I can understand WWE saying, oh, well, we buried him. Why would we push him back to where he was last off and he should have stayed? I understand that. They already fucked up, so the least they could do... They're not gonna... it makes sense to not be like, oh, he beat Miz, so he can beat Miz again automatically. Nah. You know, he's lost his ego, lost his touch. You know, he's been off TV, so he's a little rusty. Stuff like that. So it does make sense to not push Riley automatically back to the main event. But they could put him in a tag team, put him back in the mid card, something. And I think this would be a perfect way to push Alex Riley. Number 5, Xavier Woods and Mike Dalton. I know that Mike Dalton and Jason Jordan have been teaming on NXT. This is kind of funny. When I see Jason Jordan, I actually see a Rocky Maivia. Not The Rock, but a Rocky Maivia. Somebody that wouldn't work in a tag team. Somebody that pushed a mid-card, and then eventually he could start to transform into somebody else. Probably not The Rock. I haven't heard Jason Jordan talk on the mic really. But, you know, something could become of him. It really could. While, on the other hand, Mike Dalton and Xavier Woods kind of makes more sense in a tag team. Honestly, even Xavier Woods and Jason Jordan, I know, a black tag team, oh, God forbid, no, but it works, it makes a little tad bit more sense as a tag team, but I think this would be a perfect way. Once again, the Cruiserweight division just has to come back. It just makes so much sense to do so. If it doesn't, it would be just a fucking crime. This would be like, to, I guess, a lower extent in a way, Hogan and Flair never happening at WrestleMania. It just wouldn't make fucking sense, really. But, yeah, I think this would be an okay tag team, and, you know, they'd be the undercard tag, not the undercard tag team, but the underdog tag team. Okay, when I took pictures in the internet, and I put these two side by side, I almost jizzed myself. I said, why isn't doing this? Ready? Here's my shocker of the list. Drew McIntyre and, I'm not going to do drum roll, fuck that, Rick Victor. They're both foreigns, they're both slightly larger than the average guy, you know. They're both kind of rude, aggressive guys. And putting these guys side by side, they're almost identical in ways. I was like, oh my god, this is a tag team that wouldn't have to cheat. They'd be big fucking deals. Rick Victor and Drew McIntyre. Do it! If anything on this list should ever happen, you know, like making a tag team wise, oh my god, do this. This tag team, unless something happened where they just couldn't coexist, this would have to work. I'm just saying, tell me what you think of that tag team. I just think it'd be a fucking huge tag team. Most of you might be like, oh, who the fuck is Rick Victor? If you know who I'm talking about by Rick Victor, just comment. I think this would be a really good tag team. And where's Drew McIntyre going? Just be honest with you. While Rick Victor isn't really going to make a big spot anyways, so might as well. Number 3, Mysterio and Sin Cara. We already saw this on a Raw or SmackDown, I remember. But we saw this tag team before. They kind of worked well together. Mysterio's got a concussion right now, so when they bring him back, I don't know what they're doing with Sin Cara right now. They're kind of doing a Cody Rhodes thing. Just honestly, I think that this would be a good tag team. Mysterio, he's not bad in the ring anymore. Well, not anymore, but he's not bad in the ring. But he's not the Rey Mysterio anymore that could do stuff that not a lot of other people could do. While Sin Cara is still kind of in his prime. For some reason, I enjoyed him a lot more as Mystico, but whatever. I don't know. But when this whole Cody Rhodes thing is done, I don't care what you guys say. Cody Rhodes is the one that should benefit off this, if anybody. And just, I think this tag team would work. The whole mask thing, you would just Uber it up to the max, get some mask sales. Not completely bury Mysterio, keep him relevant in ways, while keeping Sin Cara relevant in ways, and then eventually being able to push these two. I think it makes sense. And of course, when it's done is done. Rey Mysterio bit the final point of his career, get his last match, maybe even against Sin Cara. Maybe these two could break up near WrestleMania 30 and have a match at WrestleMania 30. I think that'd make a whole lot of sense, really. Number 2, Jake Carter and Corey Graves. I don't know. These two, like, unlike an Xavier Woods and Mike Dalton, I haven't got to see these guys go single as a tag team. So this is a tag team that'd be together for a while. But Corey Graves, I see something in him, kind of like a goth type thing. Maybe he'd be like, I don't know. I don't want to say Raven, because Raven was really good in his ECW days, but I don't know. Something could be done with him, and Jake Carter being Vader's son, that's going to give him some credibility. They've been pretty good at NXT, they're good in FCW, and they work really well together. So this is a tag team that should be brought up before WrestleMania, maybe right after WrestleMania. Hell, even before, maybe sometime this year, at the end of this year. I'm still hoping that Eve, with the whole win-loss stupid shit, says, oh, well, these guys have been performing the developmental program pretty well, and then bring these two out. I think it'd work just fine. Hell, I think Eve could be the fucking manager for Jake Carter and Corey Graves. I think that'd make a hell of a lot of sense, in my opinion, if she's going to bring him up. I think it'd work just well. And, of course, number one, any of you guys who keep track with NXT/FCW might get this. If you have no idea what's going on in the developmental, this list isn't for you. Some of it is, not all of it. But number one isn't for you if you don't watch the developmental. The Ascension, Connor O'Brien, yes, the Rat Man from NXT Season 4, and Kenneth Cameron, yes. While you look at some of these guys, Jake Carter and Corey Graves, generic heels. Mysterio and Sin Cara, generic luchadors, kind of. McIntyre and Victor, generic big-time heels that could win clean. Xavier Woods, Mike Dome, generic babyfaces. Riley and Christian, for the most part, generic babyfaces. Born and Beretta, generic cruiserweight. Jackson Langston, yeah, Biggie Langston, generic big black guys, you know what I'm saying? Curtis and McGillicuddy, once again, generic heels and the Kings of Wrestling. I don't know if I'd call them generic, but Antonio Cesaro is already booked up. So, I mean, the Ascension, not huge guys, not small guys, different entrance, different look, different moveset, different attire. These guys stick out like a sore thumb in a good way. It's a shame that I kind of worry that they're probably not going to do anything with this tag team. But I'm really praying they decide to bring them up. These guys could be a tag team. I believe Connor O'Brien's like 34. Might not be right. I believe Kenneth Cameron's probably in his 20s. So, of course, Kenneth Cameron, by the time this tag team either does or has to break up, there you go. Kenneth Cameron would be the one to benefit from this. Connor O'Brien, I think he'd be just a fine veteran in the ring. You know, not like Hardcore Holly veteran, but like one of the older people in the ring. I don't know how to explain it. But, yeah, you know, they started Edge and Christian and the Brood vampire thing. I don't want to call this vampires, but, you know, dark, sinister, evil kind of thing. And look at Edge and Christian. They're just fine. They're kind of normal now, and that's okay. Because by the end of the day, they're still remembered and, you know, called some of the greatest superstars of all time. But yeah, the Ascension is definitely number one tag team. When they bring them up, if the fucking Kofi and Truth tag team, bring them up. Don't give them a non-title match. Give them a title match. Beat them instantly. Give them a rematch. Beat them the fuck up again. Kofi and R-Truth is forced to break. They're the king of your tag team division. And that's just fine. And these guys should hold on to the tag team belts for probably 6 months, defending them at least once a month, preferably at a pay-per-view against a tag team with build. They could defend against the Mysterio and Sin Cara and retain. They could defend against a Riley and Christian and win. They could defend against a Born and Bred and win. They could defend against Ezekiel Jackson and Langston. And since these guys aren't generic heels, they could defend against a Jake Carter and Corey Graves and retain. They could defend against a McIntyre and Victor and retain. They could defend the titles against Johnny Curtis and Michael McGillicuddy and once again win. They're not plain generic heels. Like if you saw Jake Carter and Corey Graves go against Curtis and McGillicuddy, you'd be like, it's just a heel tag team against a heel tag team. How does this make sense? Well, the Ascension is that dark kind of thing, where you can have Undertaker going to the babyface and a heel, and it makes sense because he's the side guy, the darker kind of guy. It just makes sense to bring up the Ascension and make them a big-time tag team instantly. But that's about it from this video. If you like this, you can subscribe up above, you can give this the thumbs up. Comment any thoughts on tag teams I might have missed, tag teams that are kind of out of the box, maybe the Headbangers if you really want to, you know, bring back an old tag team, I don't care. I enjoyed making this video, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it. We'll talk to y'all later, peace.